A man has written to me and he says, "It seems imperative to me to know what was the original error that led to existence." And yet, he said, "How can there be an error when I have realized that God does not make mistakes?" God, the Most High, does not make mistakes. That is the truth. But we creatures who have a brain somehow want to know. We just want to know things. Science wants to know. We want to know. But the truth is, there's nothing to know except God does not make mistakes. So everything is absolutely perfect, if only we don't want to know anything. Amazing, isn't it? The more you know, the more doubts you get, because there's always more to know. When you know something, there's always more to know. And it's never-ending struggle. Like science, because we've got the scientific mind now, to want to know. Like the philosophers, they want to know. And they all come up with the wrong answer, really, because there's so many philosophies, each one thinking it's the right answer, but it's all a result of wanting to know. There's no need to know. But we creatures with brains, we have to be very careful. The brain is the thing that wants to know. That's the humanity. That's the humanness of us. And that humanness has to be overcome by stop being curious, stop trying to know, because the spiritual state of God realization is knowing nothing and not needing to know anything, because God or it, whatever it is that controls every minute, that made everything is in charge. If you know that something holy, something incredibly brilliant and indescribable and good is in charge, what more do you want to know? I've endeavoured to tell you what the trouble with existence is. And that is man's and woman's violence, which arises from their sexual ignorance, sex instead of love, which causes emotion. That's behind all the wars, all the acquisitiveness, all the takeovers, everything. Is because the people concerned have not realized that God does not make mistakes. We think there's mistakes, but then we've got human brains. And human brains divide everything, always emphasizing the not good more than the good. Now, going back to the man's questions, the first one I've answered. God does not make mistakes. Everything is perfect. Even though he kill me, still will I trust in him, said Job 6,000 years ago. Even though he slay me, still will I trust in it. My goodness gracious, that's quite a trust. That's quite a knowledge that God does not make mistakes. That if it kills me, if it slays me, then it is right. And I don't need to question that. I don't need to say, why is it happening to me? Why did this happen to me? God does not make mistakes. It's happening to me because it is right. That's all. And that becomes my whole life. My whole life is right. Whatever happens, it's right because I am under the protection and the guidance and the benevolence of the Most High. And anything that my silly brain perceives as not good is just a part of the vast whole, which is certainly greater than 60 or 70 years of life, of living. But it is given to us, if we can only see the truth of things through our brains, it is given to us to answer the original question that the man said that he wants to know. What is the original error? Now, having said about God, that's the end of that. Then we come down a step into this question. What is the original error? How do I find out the original error? Well, all you've got to do is look into your own life. As they say, you don't have to go into the past to find the truth of your condition now. Whatever's besetting you, you don't have to go into the past. You look, if you can only perceive, with truth, straightly, directly, without emotion, into your life, you will see the answer. So the answer is this: whenever I leave God, the good, that is the original error in me, and I become unhappy. Whenever I get emotional and identified with my emotion, whenever I leave God, which is good within me, whenever I start thinking, trying to work things out, I leave God. And then I become confused. Whenever I am unconscious of the life around me, with the birds and the trees and just the sheer benevolence around me, I leave God. And that makes me unhappy. So what was the original error? We can say, if we want to use time way back, where I can tell you, before we even took on skins, before we became bodies, man and woman, man, because man was original, man was the original creature. Man left God. That's all. Just like we do. So, if you want to know why you leave God, you know why man left God. When I say man was the original, I have to tell you that woman is not the original. Woman is the love that was taken out of man, capital M's, body, and made into a form, so that he might be forever separated from his love until he came to his senses sufficiently and back to God sufficiently to be able to love her, so that eventually in consciousness and consciously she enters him through her great reverence for him, because she came out of him and she loves him, and all I want to do is be with thee forever and ever, she says. If she can only find the man pure enough or beautiful enough to say, come into me, love me. And she says, oh, I do. Let me come into thee. Let me never have individual existence. Let me just know this glorious love of God, which is what I see in you. And therefore, I am no longer separate from you, because through love, I am united with you. Man then becomes whole, and a capital M. Now, you want all the other theories? Fair enough. Everyone's got a nice philosophy. I tell you the truth. Man is only half man without his love inside of him, fully completed. Because he's only half complete with half his love inside. In existence, I'm talking about. And who's not in existence? What man is not in existence? What woman is not in existence? Are we going to talk about God out of existence? Indeed, you can realize God out of existence inside of you, and you will realize the truth. But what about love? You see, the truth is not love. Love is not the truth. Are you listening to me? I know we think that truth and love are interchangeable. They are not interchangeable in the higher realms of perception. Love is here in existence. This is the place of love. And if ever you realize God, God outside existence, that means inside of you, beyond, right in the depths of being. If ever you realize that, you will realize the truth. You will not realize love. But because you are in the human condition, you have a brain, you have a self, you will love this truth, but you will be in existence and you will love this truth from existence, from yourself. But that does not mean that truth is love. This can very rarely be discussed, the difference between love and truth, because the human condition's just not up to it. Doesn't have enough perception of the truth to make a separation between love and truth, between existence and non-existence. Doesn't have enough depth of perception, so I can't speak about it. When I do, people tend to get confused and tend to defend their own position. Whereas in truth there's no position, there's only the fact and the truth. And the truth is that deep inside you is the truth. And here in existence, where you have a brain, is love. There is no love in truth. So, but we're all in existence. There's no man or woman who's not in existence. So we all need love. We all need to find what I call a completion. For there's nothing more beautiful than the completion that man can receive in a good woman. It's a completion. It's greater than a fulfillment. Completion is far greater than fulfillment. And to have discovered in existence the love of a woman that can complete you is just, well, completing. And for a woman to discover a man that she can actually truly love as divine, because all men are divine. Well, let's not make anyone special. All men are divine. All men are God. Deep down, underneath all the conditioning and the troubles and the burden of the self. But if a woman can find a man who truly loves God, you see, he's got to love God. He's got to love God or he's not good enough, meaning there's no goodness but God. And he's got to love that invisible world. He's got to love that good, the good in life. He's got to have a sense, not a love for, but a sense of the sparrows and the butterflies and the grass and the ocean and the created universe. He's got to have a sense of the beauty of it. And of that he gets a sense of the God behind it, the good behind it. He's got to have that, for a woman cannot love him unless he has that impersonal love. If he loves her and her alone, a real woman's going to say, stop it, stop it. You're sentimental, you're attached to me, you're hanging on to me, you're not conscious enough. You must love God first before me. She mightn't say that, but I'm saying it for her. We tend to love objects because we're objective. We've learned to be objective. The scientists have taught us to be objective. Once we were taught to be emotional by the wrong Christian religion, which made us emotional, believing in things, believing instead of knowing. So we got all emotional about Jesus and about, well, you can see it in the great paintings, the masterpieces of the Middle Ages and those sort of things, and the Renaissance. You can see it there, the imagination of sentimentality of God and what is good. We got emotional. And so the scientists had to say, well, look, anyone who's emotional is not going to see straight, they're not going to be objective, so let's get rid of this subjectivity, which is emotional, and let's see the fact as best we can. And that was laudable. That was praiseworthy. But the only thing was that they threw, the baby out with the bathwater. Because if only we hadn't got emotional about religion, about Jesus and all the rest of it, and all the tears and the statues crying and all the other stuff, all that rubbish, which is psychic, anything is possible, all magic's possible. What's it matter? It's not true. Doesn't make me more pure. Doesn't make me more beautiful. Doesn't make me love God more. No magic makes me love God more. It just entertains my mind and makes me ask a question, how did he or she do it? Another question. And when someone says how he or she did it, then another question will arise. Can I do it? I want to become a magician. I want to show the people how powerful I am and make the Statue of Liberty disappear. This sort of stuff. And so on it goes into error, instead of coming back to the source. Where did all these questions come from? Where did all this wanting come from? Where did all this driving into existence come from? It came from the run from God. It came because I haven't got the time to just be simple and start to return to that eternal place which is inside of me, which is the original place that the whole of humanity virtually has left. And so all the wars, the violence, all the need of booze and drugs is all because you and I, as man and woman, down through the ages, have left the God within us and become worshippers of the person, its thoughts and its emotions and feelings. We are worshippers of that devilish condition. But behind it all, fear not, God makes no mistakes. You are going to die. I am going to die. Blessed death. Haven't I got a video? Sweet mystery of death. You can almost hear me saying it because I got in front of it. Sweet mystery of death. Back towards the beginning. It is us who make the mistakes, not God.